Hello and welcome to episode 1480 of the award-winning Sleeper and the Bust. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined today by both Justin Mason and Joe Orrico. Gentlemen, FSWA said that we had the best baseball podcast of the year. We won the award yesterday. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Well,
they are not wrong.
Congratulations go predominantly to the two of you, and I'll speak for Jason there. You guys put in so much work on this show. You've been doing it for so long. You grind multiple episodes. It's phenomenal work, and I'm really grateful that you guys asked me to join. So this one goes predominantly to Mr. Mason and to Mr. Sporer.
Thank you so much. But Justin pointed out a pretty interesting trend that we have noticed with our victories. Do you want to explain what our victory pattern has been thus far?
Well, the last time, and I think the only other time this podcast has won podcast of the year was, I believe, in 2018, which was the year after I joined the show and replaced Dino.
And then you joined this year.
And now Joe's joined kind of like in the last year. So we're going to need to bring someone else on if we want to keep this. At some point, we may have 17 people on this podcast.
It's just a rotating, cast, just to keep getting the awards. You know, Vlad Sedler just joined the team. I'm just saying.
I know.
We've got guests coming. I know you guys have been working on some guests. Going to be getting those booked for March run. So maybe one of those guys or gals sticks around forever because we win an award with them. Who knows? But thanks so much to FSWA for voting us. I really appreciate that. That was so cool. You know, we've been nominated a bunch. We have, like you said, we won in the past. A lot of our friends have won it across the industry, and it was really cool to be center stage yesterday and get the dub. We're back in the outfield, folks, and Justin and I already said tomorrow we're going to make it the last one because feasibly, with the way I broke down these groups, we could do 3 more episodes, but we got to get to pitchers. So we'll do the episode today featuring on 2 groups, boring but bankable, pretty self-explanatory, just guys that are going to play. There's a couple injured ones that you have to work around right now, but they're going to just pile up volume for you. It's probably going to be boring, but it's going to be useful. And then power bats. Again, pretty self-explanatory. So let's go ahead and get into the boring but bankable bats and start with Mr. Jurickson Profar, who's going right around pick 200, just inside the top 200 there at 195. In fact, he and Brian Reynolds are going right there. We can kind of pair them because I see them similarly. If I'm targeting that type of player, I want one or the other of those two. You know, Profar coming off the suspension last year, obviously had a bit of a lost season since it was only half, but the half that he did play, he was back 14-9 with a 121 OPS plus. That's homers and steals when I say the 14-9 for Profar. Average was down to 245, but the OBP at 353 and the slug at 434 was definitely enough to get the job done. And we see this a lot with these PED guys, Justin. They come back and like they don't deflate, right? And that's not how PEDs work. They don't instantly make you great, and then when you stop, instantly make you bad. And so he was pretty damn good. How do you feel about Profar now, age 33? A full year removed from the breakout of 2024, but a pretty good half year under his belt. Are you back in?
I think I'm back in. I mean, he is boring volume, but like when you're at this point in the draft, what you want is boring volume. He also will hit high up in that Braves lineup, which, as we always say, should be better than it was last year.
For 5 years now, we've been they got to be better than this.
I wouldn't be surprised if at some point he doesn't like move into the leadoff spot. I know they've got Acuna up there, but I mean, like he's such a strong walk guy, such a good table setter that hitting fourth doesn't make a lot of sense for Jurickson Profar.
I don't think Baldwin has to be 2. You know, I'm a little lukewarm on Baldwin. Great rookie of the year, nice catcher, but I would put him in the 5. I would go Profar, Acuna, Olsen, Riley. That's my top 4 there. And
or Acuna Profar, right? Like, I mean,
I'm fine with Acuna 1 and then Profar 2 as well, especially if they want to keep the bases cleaned for Acuna to get that early steal there when he gets on for the leadoff. But either way, I don't think the current setup that we have with Baldwin batting 2, I don't like that. And maybe it matches what they're doing in spring, so I'm not dogging out Roster Resource, but I don't agree with it personally. I think Profar should be up there.
He's just such a good table setter. I mean, that 12% walk rate that he's pretty much had, most of his career, at least the last 3 seasons. I just think, and he's such a low strikeout guy too. He's just a great table setter. I think he's going to score a lot of runs in this lineup. He's probably going to hit high teens, low 20s homers, throw in double-digit stolen bases, and a decent average. So, I think he's a guy that kind of gets overlooked because it's not flashy production, but it is just all around production.
Joe, I'll take you into the next guy who I mentioned earlier was Brian Reynolds with the straight up either or. You can give your piece on Profar if you want. But between those two with virtually the same exact ADP, is it Profar or Brian Reynolds for you?
Brian Reynolds has been a huge target for me this year. I have a bunch of shares. I like buying into that guy who has the one down year following several great seasons, and then you're getting a massive discount. Brian Reynolds has been a 90 to 100 overall pick for the last several seasons, and now it's almost a 100 pick discount. I think he's a 20 and 10 guy who can give you a decent batting average. I really like the lineup in Pitt. Well, really like might be pushing it a little bit, but I think Pittsburgh's lineup is looking pretty decent, and hopefully we get Connor Griffin there on opening day. Who knows what's going to happen there, but that would make it look even better. We're probably not. We're probably not. Ken Rosenthal was kind of suggesting that it might happen this morning.
I would love to be wrong, but I don't think I'm close to wrong. I don't think he has hardly any chance. And I don't care about the 2 homers, folks. 2 early spring homers doesn't do enough for me yet. I want to be wrong. And you guys can windmill dunk on me if I'm wrong. I want Connor Griffin up.
Yeah.
I've seen this story, though. He ain't breaking camp. Anyway,
I tend to agree with you, unless it's
just
contract.
Extreme. Yes. The contract throws it all out the door. Of course he would go. Or if he hits 8 homers and 400 average with great plate skills or something, right? I understand the paths. I think they're very narrow for Griffin, but I agree. He'll be up at some point to further boost this lineup here. And then they added Lau and O'Hearn, which you were getting, and Ozuna, 3 nice power guys. So that gives Brian Reynolds some more run upside. Has he been a 100 run guy? I'm looking right now. No, he's never gotten there. Could he maybe get back into the 90s at least? It's been a while even since 90. That was 2021 when he had 93. Do we think that's on the table right now, Joe? 90 runs for Reynolds?
Yeah, I think somewhere into the mid 80s would be what I would expect. I think kind of 2023, 2024 season is what you should probably be hoping for here. Mid 20s homers. He's going to tip into the double digit stolen base range. He's going to give you 80 some odd runs, 80 some odd ribbies, and give you a decent batting average, giving you like a 115 WRC plus. I think last year was really fluky. If you look below the surface, it was a 10% barrel rate, still 46% hard hit, career best average exit velocity. There's a lot to like with Reynolds. I just want to say one thing about Profar though, and present the possible downside case. And I've clicked on him a few times here. I have, I think, 2 shares through my 10 drafts so far, so I don't mind landing on him, but you guys mentioned the PEDs. Paul, you mentioned that it's not like a deflating thing. If you stop taking them the next day, you're going to be bad. But now, like a year and a half or so removed from the PED usage, is there a possibility, not that he's going to be as bad as 2023, but immediately before the PEDs, 78 WRC plus, he was arguably the worst hitter in the league in 2023. I think that is, going too far the other way. He's not going to have that type of downside probably, but it is within the range of outcomes that Profar doesn't have any of the PEDs left, and there's whatever boost it gave him in terms of training and whatever recovery is out of his system, and now he is back to kind of the pedestrian Profar that we saw for many years. I'm not necessarily expecting that, but I think it's a possibility.
That will be particularly interesting because the big power spike was what drove that breakout year in 2024 when Profar hit 24 homers, and he still hit 14 last year in a nice round 80 games, which allows us to do the easy but lazy extrapolation, and then that's 28. Again, probably not going to get to 28 necessarily, but that's right in line with those 24 that he had. You mentioned being further away from the PED use. If he's gone a little soft in the muscles, maybe he's hitting a max of 14 or 15 instead of those low 20s. I think
you
that's
also
fair.
have to acknowledge the fact that once you have one PED suspension, you could get another, right?
Definitely get another.
And that
if
would
he tries
be
to get around it.
Yeah, that would be a lifetime ban, right? So and I'm not saying I think he would do that because that'd be obviously stupid, but we've seen people be really, really stupid in Major League Baseball before. So we all, the floor for Profar is he does not play another game because he tests positive.
If he burns 30 mil to try it again, he is the dumbest human alive. He got 30 mil guaranteed. Dumbest human alive. Dude, I mean, it's guaranteed. All you got to do
is Alec Manoah. Dumber than Alec Manoah saying he deserves a piece of the Blue Jays World Series run.
That was very weird, by the way. But obviously not the dumbest, but
has a lot of stake on that dumbest.
There's some pretty dumb with him. Yeah. I'm just saying, you have 30 mil just for existing.
Yeah.
Stay off the PEDs.
How much did Class A have for existing? Dude, all he had to do, he was about to get the largest contract in the history.
He didn't have it yet, though. That's all I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's just a little bit dumber. with Profar if he were to do
But
something
he
like
threw that away for like 5 Gs.
I know. The whole cross A thing is an absolute nightmare. Anyway,
this
next
is why
up is
we
Jeff
don't
McNeil.
get through outfielders.
That's true. Now, you did put Jeff McNeil discussed at second base, which is fair. We do not have to do a full deep dive. I don't remember what I said, and I'm certain that I didn't have that many deep takes on McNeil because I hadn't really studied him yet. I'm a huge fan.
To be fair, you may not have been on that podcast.
Okay, so I might have missed that one.
No, you were. Never mind.
But even if, again, I probably had like, he's whatever, he's Jeff McNeil. I'm so in on Jeff McNeil, it's not even funny. I think Jeff McNeil is awesome for this year. And it is a billion% park related. He's picked 335, and he's just another Profar Reynolds at pick 335, 135 picks later than these guys. And we're getting the same, no, maybe not the same sort of steals production that both of them could bring, but even he had 10. He was 10 for 10 in 2023. Maybe he does a little something. 5 2 years ago, 3 last year for McNeil. But I'm looking at teens homers, upper teens, and getting the batting average back. It was 243 last year. I think we're going at a baseline 265 right now. That's where my projection is with 15 or so homers. I think McNeil's going to eat in Sacramento. I think he was totally unlucky last year hitting 243. Super in on him with Sacramento. Love him. Second base, outfield too.
I mean, I like Jeff McNeil. I'm not like you, the president of the Jeff McNeil fan club or anything.
I'm so in, dude. Like I said, I've been doing research lately and getting into some of my middle and later round guys, and he was somebody I got around to, and I'm just like, the park alone with these skills gets me there. I mean, he was a near 1-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio guy last year. Even if the walks come back down, he doesn't strike out. 250 something BABIP. I know we have 2 years of it now, so I can't say it's total. I did say bad luck earlier. I can't say it's total bad luck. There's some contribution there, probably because he doesn't hit the ball super hard. But then you go to Sacramento, and I just think at 335.
Saying he doesn't hit the ball super hard is the understatement of the century.
I understand that. He doesn't strike the ball particularly well.
Now that just reminded me of another tangent that I really should bring up at some point. I'm going to bring it up now. Somebody in my chat asked me if you and I were pitching to each other, right? If I was pitching to you, you were hitting, and you were pitching to me and I was hitting, who would hit more home runs?
Oh, you would.
Yeah, for sure, right? Your strike zone's just way too big.
Yeah. Even in my best day, man, I'm not turning for power.
Okay.
No. Like, this is just a size thing at this point, and absolutely no shade to Justin. You're absolutely ripping more bombs. Yeah. Now, if we're rounding into form, if the idea in this principle is that, or in this hypothetical is that we're both rounding into some sort of form of playability, I think I'm gonna 3 true outcome you though. I'm gonna get some punches. Okay. With my length, I'm giving you some looks, bro. So I'm still gonna get some punchies, but you're gonna connect. You're gonna go yard. Yeah, I'm gonna be ripping singles and doubles off.
I mean, I even at 41, I'm still benching over 300 pounds. Like I'm gonna the ones I connect with, are going yard, right?
I think I'll get a few show punchies that I can strut to, but I'm turning my neck a lot to watch you hit bombs. I'll freely admit that. I have no.
Joe probably takes both of us out.
I think so.
I was a pitcher. I wasn't.
Yeah, I think he's dicing us both up in the box. Yep.
I could barely hit my weight back in the day, and that's when I weighed 170 pounds.
So, anyway. Jeff McNeil, like I said, I'm fully in love. I don't remember what I said on the second base. I don't think I had investigated him enough to express this kind of opinion, but I'm in. He's just a great pick at 335 in Sacramento with second base.
I think he is a great pick at 335. I don't know if I believe that Sacramento will solve the ills of all his power issues because the dude just does not hit the ball hard.
I'm willing to take another 12 if I get a 280 average, by the way.
I'm thinking, well, and here's the thing. I think he will get back to being a 600 plate appearance player. Which I think is the most important thing. So, could he just volume his way to 16 home runs? Probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And do that with a 255, 260 batting average? Yeah, I could see that. I could see a world in which Jeff McNeil does that in Sacramento because there's really not a lot of options. Like someone, I think on... maybe it was a second base preview episode or maybe somewhere else left a comment well, you guys didn't talk about Zach Geloff for good reason.
He did.
Zach Geloff sucks.
I mean, yeah, and he's like on shoulder surgery. Like, who's going for him this year? I can't do it right now. You're right. We did miss him. We could have at least made a passing comment. But I'm with you. Like, he's an afterthought to me. That's part of why. And,
there's really nobody on this roster other than McNeil who's going to play second base.
And then if you're talking about outfield, which he can also play, these backup outfielders on the bench could easily be in congressman or reliever. Carlos Cortez and Colby Thomas. Tell me that they're not representing the
Colby Thomas is some prospect.
He's a bit of a prospect, but Carlos Cortez, I literally never heard of that guy.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that for sure is the congressman from Arkansas's 4th district.
So if McNeil is healthy, back to 600 PA, I'm with you on that. Let's go to Marsh. This is a former Justin guy, so I'm going to start with you, Justin. You used to love Brandon Marsh. You're not as rabid about him anymore, understandably, but do you still like him as a boring, strong side platoon, gets the job done for deep leagues, or has he faded too much? He spiked a 280 average last year with the big BABIP. Is there something there? Only 7 steals was disappointing, so it was a little mixed bag there with Marsh. Where are you at these days on one of your former faves?
He just does not elevate the ball enough. It was a 35% fly ball rate. The batting average is great, and he is a very good, in zone hitter. But he does, and he does have some power. But he lets the ball he kind of sprays the ball too much to do much more than that. And the fact that he is going to just be on the strong side of a platoon just doesn't give him as many opportunities as maybe other guys in this tier. So I don't have a problem with him when he drops in a draft, but he's never really been a target for me, at least this year.
Yeah, it's been a while since you were. Yeah. Brandon Marsh is the next big thing. He's just kind of a boring. Okay, and which again, that's why he's in the boring but bankable.
We saw the speed kind of disappear.
That's the part that I don't understand right now. Now he did go 7 for 8, so at least it wasn't 7 for 13 to where he was making a bunch of bad decisions. At least Brandon Marsh was still super efficient. He also had a big strikeout rate drop that definitely plays a role in why he was able to boost the batting average like that, going from 32 to 26, Joe, and that fueled a 31-point batting average jump. So did the BABIP increase, but he went from 249 to 280. Which is more real in your estimation, Joe? The stolen base dip or the batting average jump? And when I say real, it doesn't even have to be. Actually, instead of the batting average jump, let's go to the strikeout drop versus the SB drop. Which of those is more real to you for Marsh?
I don't know how much I trust the strikeout rate dropping. The swinging strike rate stayed the same. Strike rate stayed the same, I should say. And his O-swing increased by 4 points. I think that he's probably closer to where the 28, 29% projections are. 28.5 for the bat, 28 for ATC. That's kind of what I would expect. It's worth noting as well, because I've been doing this series for FTN, just spring training updates, and he jammed his hand while practicing slides and has some inflammation. Phillies are going to keep him out of the lineup out of an abundance of caution, apparently, up until the middle of next week. They're not going to send him for imaging or anything. It doesn't seem too severe, but just something to keep an eye on. But what I will say is if you are in a league that's a daily lineup type of format, if you're starting him just against right-handed pitching, I think you're getting a really, really good asset. Just against righties last year, 130 WRC plus. He was a 300 hitter against righties. Now against lefties,
terrible.
Unusable.
577 OPS, which is just horrendous. But against righties, it wasn't even just last season. For his entire career, he's a 120 WRC plus with a 275 average in a really good lineup. So if you are in one of those daily leagues, or if you are in an NFBC type of weekly setting format, the Phillies have 4 right-handed pitchers. I would put him into the lineup as much as you can for those situations.
Yep, I think that totally makes sense with Brandon Marsh, and you're getting an appropriate price point to do.
Good DFS guy when they're going up against the righty.
Absolutely.
Right? That's a great point. Pick 341. That's not hurting you in any way, shape, or form when you're taking him. All right, let's get into our next guy here. We've got, moving back over to my sheet, I'm sorry. We have, Nick Castellanos going out to San Diego. Remember, he got cut from Philly. We knew he was going to land somewhere. San Diego's been doing a really interesting thing this year, picking up a bunch of boring vets that have done things before, but it was total buy low because they can't afford anything, right? So Philly's essentially paying him. They only got to pay Castellanos league min. I know we have him in a bench role right now, and I do understand that because Ramon Laureano was really good for them, and he's a much better fielder, even if he himself is not an elite one. I'm a better fielder than Castellanos. And then Miguel Andujar at DH is pretty interesting too. All 3 are righties too. So Castellanos doesn't do anything to kind of leapfrog them. I think Laureano and Andahar are better hitters right now. So I do wonder if Nick Castellanos is more of a part-time bat, Justin. I know I put him in the boring but bankable. That applies to when he's playing, but is he going to get to the 500 plate appearances this year? Let's start there with Castellanos, Justin.
I think he will, only because not everybody will stay healthy, right?
True.
Like,
it's an old team too.
It's an old team. You've got a number of these guys on this team that are kind of like that have been journeyman types, right? Laureano, Gavin Sheets, Andy R. Like, those are all three spots where if one of them gets injured, if one of them underperforms, Castellanos can just slide right in. So while I would have preferred to see Castellanos end up in Houston, right?
Right. That was the initial spot that you spec'd for that I really liked for him.
It's not a bad spot because one of those three, if not multiple of those three will falter.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. So, like, you're not too perplexed by Castellanos' 367 ADP then? He's somebody that fits in your plan there?
I probably wouldn't even draft him unless somebody gets hurt before the start of the season, and then pick him up in season, right? Like, grab him off the wire, because he'll be one of those guys where people draft him and then drop him after the first week when he only plays a game or two, and then you can kind of just wait for someone to get hurt and pick him up. So, like, I wouldn't even put, like I said, unless one of those three guys gets hurt between now and then, or a different guy gets hurt between now and then, I wouldn't even have Castellanos on my board. But just know that, like, the moment one of those guys gets hurt or starts 0 for 17, that Castellanos might be, like, ready to jump into the lineup on a regular basis.
I couldn't agree with that more. Joe, do you have any pushback on that with Castellanos and the draft plan for him?
No, I think you guys summed it up pretty well. I don't have much interest in the draft room. I think he'd be more of a free agent pickup. I mean, even if you look at just the last couple of weeks of OCs.
I was just about to say that. I got the numbers for you.
Yeah.
He only went in 4 of the last 10.
Yeah.
So that's a great point that Justin brought up. I was thinking more of Castellanos for DCs, which I think I would draft him, of course, because there are no pickups. But in OCs, which are just 12-team with waivers, don't even draft Casty.
Yeah, no, draft a reliever you think could get
any sort of spec shot.
Yeah, and when it doesn't work out, you can drop him for Castellanos or someone like that in season. Like, it just, there's no reason to waste capital on a guy that just doesn't have an immediate shot for playing time unless there's massive upside. And I just don't know that there's massive upside in Castellanos anymore.
I'm going to hit a full agree button on that one. Let's move on to Andrew B. Nintendo. Now, he's not, this is a DC play only. This is a boring but bankable DC play. I will say that I would be open to being questioned on the bankable part. He's penciled in right now, and they're paying him, so I think he is going to play. I don't think he's going to come in and get 300 plate appearances. But Joe, I wonder, could Benintendi be squeezed out by youngsters coming in if he's underperforming? Or is he there as kind of one of the few adult, quote unquote adults in the room, veterans in the room, and he gets to play as much as he's healthy because he's getting paid with Benintendi? How do you come out with that for this year?
I don't think there's anybody that would, as of what I'm seeing right now.
Nobody on the roster right now. The one guy I was thinking of, and it would be an in-season thing because he's not ready just yet, but it would be somebody like Braden Montgomery. Like, he hasn't even hit AAA yet, so that's an in-season thing. But I'm just wondering, I guess maybe the better way to frame that would be, what level of garbageness would Benny have to be at to get usurped? Because 103 OPS, WRC plus last year and 93 the year before, I don't think either of those are enough to get pushed by really anybody. So where would he have to sink to, Joe, for them to say, we'll eat the money, we're going to bench Benintendi?
Well, the worst WRC plus of his career was 2023 when he was an 88 WRC plus. Is that the line? If you don't think 93 is, then 88 probably isn't either.
No, and they played him now that was in 2023 with the White Sox. They didn't have these prospects ready, but they played him 621 plate appearances. They didn't even try to look for anybody.
Yeah, that was a dark couple
of
years.
It really was. But I think he's pretty safe is what I'm trying to say here with Ben.
Yeah, I mean, his barrel rate last year was the best of his career by a long shot. It went up to 11%, and the launch angle was at 20 degrees, which was the best of his career. If he maintains those type of metrics over a full season, because his 20 homers last year came over 116 games, less than 470 plate appearances. I mean, if he is able to maintain those metrics, it's not crazy to think that he could have a career high and hit you 23 home runs or something. Kind of replicating what he did last year. I would be pretty surprised if he loses his job. I think that he is a fine fifth outfield / bench option. I guess I prefer him as a bench in 12s, but in
Sure.
15s, he's probably a starter for you. But I don't really have a problem with it. I think that he's fine. He's totally serviceable. You're probably not getting the speed back, but he's got 2020 under his belt, 16-21. In 2023, that bad season, he did steal 13 bases. So you might end up in a perfect world with a 20-10 guy here in a lineup that's looking not too bad.
Justin, maybe I shouldn't be surprised here because his ADP in the DCs for Benintendi is 404, and there's only
Take that all day
360.
long.
Me too. I love him at 404. There's only 360 players taken in an OC, but yet I'm still surprised that he hasn't cracked any of these 10 OCs. And Castellanos has gone in 4, for example. Reese Hines has gone in 1. Austin Martin's gone in 1.
Wow.
Because
I
it's
guess
12 teamer, they're shooting for upside, and what's the upside in Benintendi?
you know what? That's fair.
Yeah,
I accept
that's what it comes down to. It comes down
No,
to
you're right.
At
It's
the
what we
end of
did-
a 12 teamer, you should be shooting for upside, and I would much rather take a shot on a guy who I think, could be a future third round pick than Benintendi, who's probably even at best like returns like 20th round value.
Full agree there. I guess I'm talking specifically to 4 people then. The 4 people who took Castellanos, if you were going to take a boring-ass old outfielder, you should have just taken Benintendi.
Yeah.
But the same principle applies to Benny that does to Casty. Don't take the old guy. Take the upstart, try to get something, and then cut that guy if he misses camp or
because you're
gets
gonna
hurt.
find a Benintendi or Castellanos on the wire
Exactly.
all season long.
No, you're 100% right there. I am no
especially in a
longer
12,
surprised.
right? Like, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's go to Jake Myers, another guy who I think is really interesting for DCs specifically. There's maybe a tinge of upside to where I would maybe take him in that Castellanos Benintendi area, that very last outfielder, just because he has speed and playing time. We've talked about Houston's outfielder problems for a very long time. They've been looking for somebody for a while. Myers is a part of the plan, and even though the power that he'd shown the previous 2 years fell apart last year, he only hit 3 homers with an 0.82 ISO. He came out with 16 steals and a 292 average in his 381 plate appearances, so he ended up with a 107 WRC plus. Now, it was with 24 ribbies and 53 runs. 24 ribbies is kind of hilarious, even for 381 plate appearances. So, kind of a rabbit situation there with the batting average, and we've never seen an average like that from Myers. But I think they're going to commit to him again, Justin. And if he's healthy, I think Myers is going to get another 500 plate appearances, which he did back in 2024. Do you like him as a post 400 pick, Jake Myers?
Yeah, sure, why not? He's gonna play because he's so good defensively, and the guys they have in the corners aren't.
Yeah, that's what saves his job, 100%.
Yeah, and really, they just don't have much else. I don't even know who else would play center if he got hurt.
George Springer, I think.
How dare you?
I think it would have to be Zach Cole, right?
Yes.
So, but
they have Taylor Trammell as an NRI. They got nothing, bro.
Yeah, he is gonna get to 550 plate appearances, just as long as he's healthy, right?
And that makes him an elite. I would go so far as to say that makes him an elite DC pick at pick 414. When you can find what is a good projected let me back up. They might not be a good 500 plate appearances, but the projection that it will be 500 plate appearances is good for Myers. I think he's a bankable 500. Finding it that late.
Throwing him in the Victor Robles, well, though Victor Robles may not actually be playing full time. True. But in the Jacob Young category of guys who can give me late stolen bases that I know is going to play because their defense,
yep.
If I need stolen bases late and I just need volume late, I get it. I'm hoping I don't need that and I can shoot for more upside late.
Right. But if I had to get some steals, like you said, that's exactly it. Let me go ahead and take Myers, try to spike 20. Yeah.
Why wouldn't Robles play full time? Who's going to take Robles' job?
Apparently, they're saying that Canzone and Robles are going to be in a platoon.
Platoon, yeah. You didn't see that?
I thought Canzone was DHing and Robles would be in the outfield, or they would switch off.
They're also going to have
Rayleigh's going to play against righties.
Yeah,
I
forgot about Rayleigh.
Right now, we have Robles playing full time on Roster Resource,
and I don't agree.
But there was a report earlier this month that general manager Justin Hollander said that as a baseline, you expect Luke Rayleigh and Dominic Canzone to start against righties, and Rob Raffsnyder and Robles to start versus lefties.
Rayleigh was awful. Rayleigh had a 20% swinging strike rate last year.
I've been screaming that Rayleigh isn't good for years, and people have been ignoring me. And clearly, the Mariners don't listen to this award-winning podcast.
Whoa!
Yeah, I said
you were just right last year. It took you 3 years. You were so impossibly wrong in 23 and 24 about Rayleigh. He went 19-14 and 22-11, putting up a 129 WRC plus in both seasons. You were dead wrong until last year when he flopped. And you could give him an injury washout for last year. But even if I give him full negative credit, it still took you 3 years to be right. So chill out on the Rayleigh hate. I still think he has some juice. So I kind of see Rayleigh, like I get it, at least against righties. I think what we said about Marsh, but flip it. We were saying for some speed for Marsh. If you can play Rayleigh just against righties and you have a league flexible enough to bench him against lefties, you can get some sneak power. And he happens to throw in some chip-in speed. So I actually like Rayleigh a little bit there as a little side tangent.
You would.
But let's go to a couple of guys who are a little bit injured right now, although one is getting good news, the other not so much. And as much as I love Tommy Edman, I'm pushing away from the table. Somebody I've been drafting for the last 52 years, not so much. He's already he's already out for opening day, Justin, which I know is a no-go for you. That's off your board 100%, again, which I agree with. It's an ankle injury that has been kind of nagging him for a while now. So honestly, I might have categorized him wrong as bankable because he just might not be. But again, I was thinking about like when he's playing, he's still pretty damn good. But I'll just give you the open question then. Where are we on Edman right now? Do we feel comfortable that he can deliver even 400 quote unquote bankable at bats?
Okay, so Edman is a guy that this is one where Joe and I think talked about him because we were hyping him up.
Right, he has second base as well. I'm sorry.
And I think so I think this was the episode you're not on. For some reason, I just still had you on the.
It was. Yeah, it was.
So I for some reason still had you on the rundown
My fault.
being there. But so we were hyping him up. We were like, you never get a Dodger this late in the draft, and we were going crazy and really, really happy. And then right at the end, I was like, oh wait, there's a note here that says Tommy Edman is broke.
Not again. Always with him lately.
So we were like, oh, okay, that explains it. I just kind of like Joe drafted him at the end of his Tout Wars draft, and I like that because it's an unlimited IL. You can stash him forever.
Actually, I love it in that situation, Joe. That's really sharp.
But like in most contexts, I'm not even talking about NFBC no IL, but like let's say you're in a Yahoo or an ESPN league where you have 3 IL spots. Are you really going to waste one on Tommy Edman?
Nope.
I'm not. Yeah. So I wouldn't draft him outside of weird scenarios similar to Tout Wars where like you have a lot of IL spots.
Could he be one of y'all's stash type players in a DC, or is injury just
probably
a total
not.
No?
There's just so much risk that he will never come back from this.
That's the thing too.
Or he comes back and he doesn't run. I mean, we saw what happened with Tommy Edman last 2 years. Is like, he came back and played some, but he didn't really run a ton last year. He only stole 3 bases in 97 games. Like
he's 9 SBs in his last 530 plate appearances, and that's the killer for Edman.
A Tommy Edman who doesn't steal bases is kind of a worthless player.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty rough. Joe, anything to add there? I mean, he's overstating it with worthless, but it dings him a lot.
It dings him a lot. The pushback, well, there's a couple things. The price hasn't come down as much as I thought it would have. Last 10 DCs, his ADP is 363. I would have thought it'd be a little bit lower than that. But even last year without stealing in 97 games, it was 13 homers, 49 runs, 49 ribbies. He didn't give
that lineup rules, dude.
That lineup is just insane. That's why I took a chance on him at the end. I also took Hai-Sung Kim. I paired them.
I like that.
There.
Yeah.
I think I'll get a couple weeks out of Kim, and then he might be a drop. His below the surface skills are pretty ugly, and then maybe Edman comes back. But I think even if Edman is giving you only a handful of steals, you could still squeak some value out of him. But I agree that you're probably not getting anything close to that 21 to 23 range where he was a 30 steal guy. Maybe you get 10 if you're lucky.
So fun when he was like
the
that.
Problem is like he no longer even offers batting average, right? Like the last 2 seasons that should have been shortened, obviously, but like he hasn't hit 240 since 2023. Like he's not a prodigious power guy, so yeah, maybe he does get back to double-digit home runs in a half season's worth of work. But like, are you really holding that on your roster? That's the big thing.
Right.
Like, there's just without the stolen base upside of like 20 to 30 stolen bases, like there's just no reason to hold a guy like that. And you can find these 20, 30 stolen base guys on the wire anyways.
No, I do agree with that. Steals are findable with the rise of steals overall. You can find different avenues to get them. They might come with warts, but again, we just highlighted Edmonds' warts. So even if his steals come back,
Edmonds' wart could be he
warts.
just doesn't run again. Like
Exactly.
right, like
that could be the single wart, and that's a problem at least if you're banking on it too, right? And so maybe it's just about expectations. If you take Edmund, lower that steal expectation so you're not surprised if he does come back and not run.
Let's move. I was just going to say one thing. If you're in it's a different position, but if you're in a DC and you're in that 350 to 400 range and you need speed, Nasim Nunez is 50 picks cheaper than Tommy Edman. He's probably going to steal. Oh, was that? Should I not be saying that? I should be saying nah. Go draft Nasim Nunez.
I'm obsessed with Nasim Nunez, dude. I completely agree with you. Don't take Edmund. Take a Nasim Nunez. Yeah. I love him, by the way. Justin, actually, when we talked about him at shortstop, I was surprised by the power. And Justin, I think you brought up his
Nasim Nunez guy. This is my dude this year. Like you know,
when we talked about him, I don't even want to say 180 because that makes it sound like I was against him. It was more I was neutral. I hadn't really investigated. And once we did the on-show investigation, fully in on Nasim Nunez. So I'm with you there, Joe. Great shout on him. Let's go to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to wrap up this tier. Coming off a really nice season, 19-10, 248 average with 80 ribs, 52 runs, but unfortunately dealing with an injury right now from his knee. Now, he is the one with the good news. I said between Edmund and Gurriel Jr. here, we got one with good news, one with bad. Edmund, of course, the bad. Gurriel is working toward opening day. It's right now the news is positive that he could push for opening day. So it's not locked, and we should always be cautious. You know, we bang that drum. Jason Collette would kill us if we did not tell you guys to be very cautious. Do not expect him for opening day. Keep monitoring the news. But with the more positive outlook, Justin, does Gurriel find his way into any of your potential plans? Is he at least on the board at pick 434? That's a pretty nice price discount.
Probably not. I just don't like taking on the injury risk on a guy who like doesn't really have.
He's an accumulator, like bit of everything type. You're right on that. No carrying
and the thing about accumulators is in order for them to accumulate, they have to be on the field. And
they do generally, yes.
That's what made Marcus Semien so valuable prior to last season, and what really hurt him last year. Obviously, there were skills issues as well, but like what hurt him was he wasn't getting 700 plate appearances anymore. If Marcus Semien gets 700 plate appearances again, all of a sudden you go, well, yeah, he had a down batting average year, but everything else you kind of got still, right?
Right.
I just can't say that Gurriel is going to be that guy who's going to be on the field a lot, or a ton, especially to start. And like, so why am I messing with an accumulator who I'm worried about might not accumulate?
Where's the news have to be on main event day to get you interested? Locked for the opening day roster, or
yeah,
okay.
Or at least back within the first week or two. Like,
okay. Yeah,
it's not a guy I want to stash.
That's the thing too, because what are you stashing him for? He's a good player, but like we said, you got to get that volume. So I'm not trying to talk you into bringing him on your list. I'm just wondering if you have any thresholds where you would be. I think if it says he's locked and loaded, ready to play for opening day, I could draft him at the draft table. But then also the price is going to go up too. He's not going to be 434 at that point. He'll probably get moved up maybe too aggressively. So I am a little tepid on Gurriel Jr. I think I'd rather just wait to kind of see how it goes. And if I miss out on him and somebody gets a little windfall, I can live with that. Joe, where are you playing the Gurriel game right now? Is he somebody you're willing to take the discount on because he's hurt, or are you waiting for more sound and news before you taking the plunge?
That's the thing about the discount. It's kind of disappearing slowly, just looking at the recent dots. If you're looking at the NFBC draft trends, there's a couple of picks in the last couple of days that are inside the top 300 picks. There's a 321, 254. I'm seeing 254 as a February 24th draft pick. That's getting dicey,
off of
man.
Maybe ready for opening day. Okay, no, that's too much. See, this is what I'm talking about. If the discount evaporates because of the positive news, I can't do it. I like Gurriel. He's been a good player, but like Justin said, no carrying tool that's going to get me to feel good, even if I do have to wait a week or two. So no, I can't do that.
This lineup also, the last couple of years, it's been a really good lineup. I'm not sure what to expect out of them this year. Perdomo, we were all kind of expecting to take a step back. He was a 720 plate appearance guy. I think a lot of people think, Perdomo will take a bit of a step back. There's been talk for about a year or so that Ketel Marte may not be the happiest if he got traded at some point. I don't think anybody's surprised. You got Carroll coming off of the injury. And then what else do you have? I mean, Gabby Moreno is, I like him, but he's not amazing as a cleanup hitter. Pavin Smith, Nolan Arenado, Carlos Santana. It's not a great lineup that he'd be returning to. And as an accumulator, you want there to be the guys around him, the Edman style 50 runs and 50 RBIs playing 7 games last year. You're not going to get that out of Gurriel in that lineup, even if he does come back. I don't think you're going to get double-digit steals again from him either. So I'm always fond of my former Blue Jays, but I don't think I can do it.
I don't want to hear you besmirching Pavin Smith. You should know better than that. Anybody coming on this show with Paul Sporer besmirching the great name of Pavin Smith gets a knuckle sandwich. Let's go to the power bats. No, that's fair. I'm teasing you. You're right. The lineup has some issues though, right? They got a lot of if. Even at the top, right? Perdomo, can he repeat? Can Marte stay healthy? Can Carroll? What's he going to be with the hamate? Is Gabriel Moreno a number 4 hitter with only 4 home runs? Pavin is your 5, right? Like, you're not wrong to say that there are questions. There's a path to success for them, but whereas the Diamondbacks the last 2 years were just awesome, this one has to climb a hill to be awesome, and that's kind of the issue. Yeah. Let's go to the power bats. Let's start with Kyle Stowers, who we have talked about in passing compared to other players that we've discussed, but we haven't given him his own moment yet. So let's go ahead and do that. He's coming off of a big breakout season. That is looking like a great win-win deal now because Trevor Rogers, of course, exploded for the Orioles, and now with Stowers doing well, also Norby too, that could end up being a really big win-win deal. But a breakout 25 homer season with a 288 average, 27% K, 11% walk, it all added up to a 149 WRC plus for Stowers. He is now a top 130 pick right there at 130, Justin. And I just want to know what you think he's got for an encore. Where are we putting the regression, or do you have him building on it? Because he only played 117 games. Could he play that magic 145 and drop 30 plus bombs? How about Stowers for 2026?
I think you have to put the regression in the batting average. The underlying skills on the batting average are really, really scary. And I know some people are going to be like, well, yeah, he's going to regress, but like his XBA was 265. So if he's at 265 with 30 plus bombs, you're going to be happy. I think the batting average floor is so much lower than people realize. His Z contact numbers are below that 80% threshold that I'm always referencing. He's a super, super aggressive hitter in the zone, but missing a ton in the zone. Yes, he did make some gains in like the O swing. He was a lot more patient, and it's what caused that 10% walk rate. And so I definitely want to continue watching him in spring to see like, hey, is he chasing outside the zone again? Because like I want to see him keep those walk rate gains, but I do worry that like we're going to get 600 plate appearances with like 25 home runs or maybe even 30 home runs, but the batting average will be like 220. And that I think is kind of a floor we have to be really, really afraid of, is a batting average floor for Kyle Stowers that is really low. Plus
it's in the ground. Yeah.
Miami is not a very good team around him. Like there's a lot of swing in this lineup. There's not a lot of talent on it. And I don't like, he could hit 30 home runs and like still have like 57 RBIs. Like I'm not a big fan of where Kyle Stowers is going in drafts right now.
I'm not either. This is a clear buy high, Joe. On a pretty standard issue power guy who had his best year ever. Justin highlighted the batting average risk. I think that is a massive risk, not just to come down from 288 to the 240 of the projected, but I totally agree that hitting my weight is a potential, at least for Kyle Stowers, if that BABIP isn't working for him. Is he somebody you can take the plunge on coming off of just the one great year, not even a full season, 117 games, with such an average risk and being a platoon guy too? Generally, he doesn't hit lefties all that well. I think he was obviously better against them last year, which helped his breakout, but Kyle Stowers coming up through the minors was not particularly good against lefties. So what do you see out of him this year as we now have to pay a premium at pick 130?
Yeah, he's a full fade for me. I agree with everything that Justin said. The batting average is a big risk. I mean, the contact rates are awful. The swinging strike rate is still 16%. And, the barrel rate, I think people are going to dream on, 25 home runs and 450 plate appearances. He plays a whole season. This is a 45 home run bat or something. And I understand thinking that, but 19% barrel rate, that number is almost impossible to get to. Even if I lower the threshold over the last few years to 400 plate appearances, 19% barrel rate last year, it's Judge, Ohtani, Schwarber, and Raleigh. Okay. 2024, Judge, Ohtani, Giancarlo Stanton, and Soto. 2023, Judge, Ohtani. That's it. Like, there are not really that many guys who are not elite, all-world type of players who put up a 19% barrel rate. In 2022, Judge, Alvarez, Schwarber, Trout, and Stanton. Like, to maintain that type of barrel rate, especially with a 52% hard hit rate, which is very good, but 52 is not in line with where these other guys are who have these massive, massive barrel rates. They're usually closer to 60 than to 50. So I think the power could even take a slight step back as well. Maybe it about evens out over a full season. Maybe he's about a 25 home run guy. That is the carrying tool, obviously. But if you're getting 25 homers with 2 steals and a 225 batting average and 60 runs in RBI, I think that's kind of what we're going to. I think that's probably what we're going to be getting.
Yeah, I just don't see the vision with buying high on Stowers. I can't get over. I already said this phrase, but I can't get over that he's just a standard issue power guy. Why wouldn't I take? I mean, I'd rather take a gamble. This guy hasn't done anything yet, but I'd rather take a gamble on Jack Cags at 210.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Adolis, 214. And I've had my issues with Adolis, but I'd rather take him over Stowers 80 picks later.
It's
Go ahead,
the
Justin.
price. It is 100% the price. Like, I think that I'm not thinking like he's going to like shrivel up and die or something like that. Like, I really believe like he's going to hit for a lot of power this year, 25 to 30 home runs. I just have zero idea what the batting average is going to be, and the team around him isn't very good. It's not like Stowers is like a massive stolen base threat. I know he stole 5 last year, but he hadn't stolen a single base at the majors in the previous bits of this 3 seasons. So like I'm not going to project more stolen bases than 5. I just think there is so much room for him to drop. And if he really struggles, if he's hitting like 197 in April, like, are the Marlins going to play him every day? Are the Marlins going to send him down? Like, they might, just because they suck anyways, right? But
I think they give him a pretty good leash for Stowers after the breakout. Like, he's going to get a long time. But yeah, I mean, if he's hitting, because if he struggles against righties, you're baking in struggles against lefties for Stowers. Yeah. So if he starts going, 680 OPS against righties, you got to think he would start losing some PT. Maybe not get sent out, like you said. I think that's like worst case scenario. Things would have to go really awry, but I can't even rule that out. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but we've seen guys go from breakout to get sent back down. Like, that does happen when you only have 117 good games on your ledger. Like, he hasn't arrived yet to where Kyle Stowers is some untouchable player that can't get sent out is what we're trying to get to. And I'd rather take this next guy. So let's go to Taylor Ward, a power guy in his own right, who comes 30 picks later than Kyle Stowers, moving over to Baltimore this year. Am I crazy on that, Joe? Is there any reason that you would not take Taylor Ward over Kyle Stowers, just doing it as a 1-to-1 comparison?
No, I'm definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm all in on Ward, but I'm all in on him over Stowers. He's going, what is it, 30
picks later.
5 picks later?
Yeah, two plus rounds later that you can get.
And you're getting the same type of player, essentially. You got the big power with the low batting average downside, but you're getting a better lineup. He's going to be hitting, I think we have him projected close to the top of the Orioles order. Where is he currently at right now? Second. We haven't projected hitting second. It's a better situation all around.
Absolutely.
From Ward. If you want to buy into the profile, wait a couple rounds, yeah.
Yeah, again, I co-sign all of that. Justin, anything to add on Taylor Ward moving from LA to Baltimore? Seems like a positive move. Should only get better. Maybe when I say better, I mean more really with the batting average. And, well, I was going to say even team context, but he did have 103 ribbies last year. So maybe not better. But how do we feel about Ward going over there? Can he kind of essentially repeat that season?
I think so, as long as he's healthy. It just comes down to health with Ward. I mean, I took him in barf. I really needed the power. Maybe he doesn't hit 36, but I think 28 to 32 homers with, pretty damn good counting stats. Like, the offense around him is just as good, if not better, than it was in Anaheim. So, it's all about health. If he can stay on the field for another 660 plate appearances like he has the last 2 seasons, then I think he's going to be fine. And so, there's no world in which I'm paying more for Stowers than I am for Ward.
Yeah, that's the thing. We are hyping Ward over Stowers, but we're also hyping Ward himself.
Price being equal. Like, let's say they're in an auction, they're both thrown out. I'm paying more money for Ward
easily.
If they're both on the board and I need power, I'm taking Ward. I don't care what the ADP is over Stowers.
Not even blinking to do that.
Yeah.
Totally agree. So yeah, we like Ward moving to Baltimore. Should be a better situation. If you can get 100 ribbies with the Angels, 200 are on the way for the Orioles. Speaking of the Angels, he did leave Mike Trout, although that's not as sad as you would think it was, a few years ago, because of course he's the oft-injured, broken down star, unfortunately. Did hit 26 homers, 64 ribbies last year with a 232 average. He hasn't obviously been himself for quite some time. I'll stay with you on this one, Justin. With Trout, I mean, we are now down to where Trout is pick 207, so he's past pick 200 pretty consistently. He did get 26 bombs. It wasn't the end of the world, but I don't know that we're getting that last kick of greatness that I was kind of hoping for the last 2 years as I was drafting him. But are you comfortable with 25, 70, 235 from Trout at pick 200?
Am I comfortable? No.
Yeah. Okay, so you need more than that because that's the projection.
Oh no! I mean, if I'm guaranteed to get it, sure.
Yeah. You were saying you're not comfortable that he's even going to reach that threshold.
Yeah.
If he were to reach, let's operate. He's healthy right now. He's looking good.
MLB is showing it and turning off injuries. I think that's totally fine, and I think there is plenty of reason to believe that a healthy Mike Trout for 550 plate appearances or 600 plate appearances can do even better than that. Like, you look at some of the underlying numbers on Trout, and I'll bring up his StatCast page real quick, so for those watching can see, it's still beautiful.
Oh my God, it is very bloody. I love it.
Now, it's not like the beauty that was early on in his career, right? But it's still beautiful. A healthy Mike Trout is still a hell of a good player and a huge value. This screams Byron Buxton to me, and it's
where he
Byron
could spike the one
Yeah.
season of greatness. Still, you think then?
Yeah, there is reasons to buy in this year because the price is so cheap, right? If he does put it all together, we could see that season that we saw from Buxton last year. Am I betting on it? Am I going to overexpose myself to it? No, but Mike Trout will be on one of my teams this year because the price is too good.
And that's how I felt the last few years, where I'm like, I want to get something because if he pops, I want to be there. If he gets anything, again, not MVP Trout, but if he shows that Byron Buxton season that you're hinting at, I want to be there for it. Now, you mentioned the Buxton comp as an oft-injured superstar. Do you think that a fully healthy Trout season brings back the speed too, Justin? Like
Probably
a real
not. I just don't know that they're going to
speed asset.
I just don't know that they're going to let him run.
Do they have that?
They had Ron Washington on that team, or managing that team, and he loves to run, and Trout still didn't run. Right? I think there is someone in the front office going, "Do not run."
He went 6 for 7 in 29 games of 2024. He was running, and only 2 last year. I'm not using that as he got hurt. I'm not using that as an irrefutable counter. I'm just saying if we're getting the Buxton season, right? Because we said the same things about Buxton. Is he going to run?
Well,
even if he does stay healthy.
If it's MLB The Show and we're turning off injuries and he knows we've turned off injuries, yes, but that's just not going to happen. So
no.
I'm not betting on that.
So you're betting more on a big power barrage with a 275, 280 type average. That would be his Buxtoning, not bringing back the speed.
I think
that's totally fine. Joe, do you sweep it here on Trout being a good value at pick 207, 208?
I want to. I mean, I'm looking at OCs for the last 2 weeks. I'm seeing 179. It's pushing him ahead of Burleson, ahead of Profar, ahead of Barger, ahead of Reynolds. I think with Trout, the best case scenario kind of happened last season, with the caveat being George Springer last year was one of the best players in baseball out of nowhere at age 36. And Trout at his peak was a much better player than George Springer. So anything can happen. But Mike Trout last year, if you're looking at the player rater, was the 49th ranked outfielder in 556 plate appearances. He's now being drafted as the 41st outfielder.
That's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but I think people still see Mike Trout and push him up a couple rounds earlier than they probably should.
I'm okay with that in a 12, though, right? Because you can cut him.
In the 12.
And if you're drafting, especially when you're doing these February drafts, all of spring training, I mentioned this after the Earth League drafts, all of spring training is going to happen before that first waiver, and it's going to create a lot of buying opportunities. So if you want to spike Trout and you wanted to guarantee you get him, so you bumped him up off the 200 ADP from the DCs, just in case, you can get a good replacement. I'm not saying I would take him over all those guys you mentioned. I think you mentioned Barger and Willie Abreu as two. I would definitely prefer to Trout. But I understand taking him there. I don't think it's as painful at 172 in an OC as it is in a DC because you can move on from Trout.
Yeah, I just look at like he was so different last year than he's been, and he's changed a little bit since his peak seasons, which kind of stopped around the pandemic. But if you're looking at his zone swing percentage, it went down 7 points. His swing percentage in general was down 4%. His O contact rate, so percentage of times he's making contact outside the zone, went down 14 points. Zone contact fell 8 points. Contact overall 9 points down. 32% strikeout rate. I think it's hard to even say, like, do we even know who Mike Trout is going to be next year necessarily? Because he's sold out more for power as he's gotten older. And if he continues down that road, I'd honestly maybe prefer it if he is just going for the moon. And because we know he's not really the batting average asset that he used to be. If he can just hit 30 plus home runs while giving you that kind of shitty batting average, I think I would take it. But I think he just keeps trying to reconfigure himself as he gets older for whatever reason. And maybe it's just a bit of an anomaly, but the contact rates are way down over the years. He's just kind of changed his profile.
Yeah.
And I think it is just that. He's selling out for power. Yeah.
I definitely think that with Trout. Yeah, he's got that uppercut swing back. Remember when he first broke in, the one flaw he had was the top of the zone, high heater strikeout, and then he broke that. You know, he pivoted on the pitchers, and then they couldn't get him there. I think they're back to being able to get him there, but he's still going for the big power. So again, I think it's a taste thing. I understand if you're not going for Trout, but I'm with Justin. Since we both run, and you do too, Joe, since we all three run like a lot of leagues, and we view our player pools as like portfolios, it's easy to get a little share of Trout just to kind of be in case he pops. Adolis Garcia is going to go out to Philly, and I think that's a sneaky, gigantic move in Park, right? I don't know that Globe Life gets talked about enough as a tough park for hitters. And so I think this move could be really nice for Garcia. And obviously he's been somebody that I haven't been the biggest fan of. I can pull a Justin here and say that I told you guys he was going to be bad. It only took me 5 years to be right. I kept fading Adolis and because I didn't trust his like core skills, and he just kept putting up power speed, 39 homers 1 year. And then he finally started to show the flaws that I was talking about for so many years in 2024 and 25. But even both of those years were still 25 homers and 11 steals, 19 homers and 13 steals. So even when he's bad, he still does something. Justin, is Adolis Garcia going to benefit as much as I think he can from that park move to the Philly park?
I think he's not only going to benefit from that, I think he's also going to benefit from going to a team that really cares about defense. Like I think one of the reasons why they were, obviously there were in clubhouse issues with Castellanos, right, but like they'd already started sitting him a lot before that because of the defensive problems. And we know, like, if you look at here on the StatCast, like we know Adolis Garcia is a really, really good defender. And that's one of the reasons why he gets so many chances is because he is so good defensively. And so you now get him moving to a better overall roster, you get him moving to a better overall park and a team that really is prioritizing his defense out in the field. I think Adolis Garcia is going to get back to that 600 plus plate appearance mark. I think he's going to hit 20, 25 home runs and, potentially steal, 17, 18 bases. The batting average is a question mark, right? Like, what are we going to get from a guy who still struggles with consistent in-zone contact? He hasn't been above that 80% threshold that I'm always quoting since 2020.
Yeesh. But hey, even if it's bad at pick 214, like you can bake
in
the batting average risk on Adolis Garcia.
You pair him with like a Stephen Kwan and you're fine.
Exactly. I love that as a middle of your outfield back-to-back combo there. Well, I don't know the exact ADPs, but yeah, Kwan and Adolis makes really good sense. Last year, park factor for righty power in Globe Life home runs was 81. So 19% fewer homers than most righties than average. And Citizens Bank didn't exactly boost them up, but it was 101. So it makes up that exact gap to go from hurting you to about average. And I really like that for Adolis. Again, even as somebody I've been negative against, I think this park move is going to help kind of give him a bit of a dead cat bounce, where I even think he could beat these batting averages from the last 2 years, 2.25 and 225. I think, 20 something homers, decent steals, and maybe even another 240 average, which we haven't seen since 2023, Joe. With Adolis Garcia, is he someone you want to buy, or do you have other targets in that area?
No, he's one of my favorite buys of the whole year. I think he might
Love
be one
it.
of the best values on the board. I posted this last night on the Fantasy Pros account, but just looking at the Oopsie projections, 4 players, all within 25, 26 homers that are within, about 70 to 80 runs, 70 to 80 RBI, mid-teen stolen bases. He profiles about exactly the same in terms of the fantasy production as James Wood, George Springer, and Andy Pages. That's about, if you're looking at Oopsie in particular,
go.
they are all about the same player.
100 picks later than them too, right? 100 or more.
And Oopsie's not even like the most bullish projection. The most bullish one is probably Zips, or the Zips, if you're looking at the depth chart with projection, that puts him over 600 plate appearances, 28 homers, 95 ribbies, 13 steals.
Ooh.
You
If
give
we
me
got that
80%
from
of that even.
Adolis, yeah. And this
pick
is about
20.
being flexible with players that you previously maybe didn't like. That's why you got to revisit guys every year. You can't just go with your stock answer all the time, because as I've mentioned throughout this entire profile on Adolis Garcia, I was always such a negative guy on him. I didn't trust the skills. The skills are still tough, folks. He doesn't walk and he strikes out a lot. But he did cut the strikeout rate last year, and if he can live in the 24, 25% range, I don't even mind his 6-7% walk rates. I like Adolis Garcia. I think he's a really good pickup, just outside the top 200 there. Let's go to one of my faves. He is a platoon guy. I have to admit that. He's on my favorite team. Kerry Carpenter, Kerry Bonds, 237 ADP, just a rake against righties. This is another one. This is a guy I should have brought up since he is on my favorite team. What the hell would you take Kyle Stowers at 130 instead of Kerry Carpenter at 237? Yes, I'm going back to the Kyle Stowers drum, but I just want to impress upon y'all how bad of an investment he is unless you fully believe in that batting average. Because otherwise, Kerry Carpenter is the same damn player available 107 picks later.
He really is. He
Literally
really is.
the same player.
Exact
Why
same.
would you do that? Unless you're in the league with me.
Minus the huge strikeouts, with Carpenter having like 12% swinging strike rate, 22% strikeout rate last year. It's like the same guy, except you're probably going to get a better batting average. And maybe, I mean, the lineups are maybe a bit of a wash there between them.
But better overall team at least.
Yeah.
So, more likely to add impact hitters, the Tigers are, than the Marlins to improve their lineup. But I agree with you on day one right now, they're not terribly far apart. But yeah, just take Carpenter. I love Carpenter. Everyone knows I do. As a Tigers fan, it's not just biased toward that. He's just really good for what he does. Justin, you got the similar vibes here on Carpenter. He's just going to rip 20-something homers in just under 500 plate appearances, call it mid 400s, which he's done 2 of the last 3 years, and just be happy with that and don't need to expect anything more. Pick 237.
Yeah. I mean, I was the big man on Carpenter last year. I don't think he disappointed. The Tigers are just not going to let him hit lefties, which, is kind of a bummer because...
Yeah, but it makes sense.
I'd love to see him get the opportunity to show that he can do it. But
Me too.
Whatever. Like, you're going to get 25 to 30 home runs, and you're going to have to just work around the platoon issues in the same way you got to work around them with Colt Keith. But I love both these guys. They're both going to hit high up on in a really, really good Tigers lineup that's going to be very competitive. It's going to be a lot of runs and RBIs to go around for these guys. So yeah, he's just going way too cheap.
Yeah. And
we
by
should
the
stop
way,
doing the podcast until I'm done with all my drafts.
there are 2 series this year that the Tigers will have against the Mariners in June and in August. So make sure you start him against George Kirby when you get there.
He'll definitely be in my lineup for that one. Another guy that is just as pure power can get, but the injuries are a concern, of course, is the man, the myth, the legend, Giancarlo Stanton. And he goes to pick 272, so I think all the risk is baked into the price there, right? Like, that's why you're getting him at 272, because you could get 50 games. And in fairness, he's been over that every year since 2020, and even 2019, the last full season when he was under that total, but only 77 last year. And still, Justin, he put up a Kyle Stowers season, 24 homers, 66 ribbies. I'm really giving Kyle Stowers the business on this episode with a 273 average. Stanton was unbelievable last year. I know that was a bit of a Buxton, Springer-esque sort of spike for him, but if you can get triple-digit games, he's a guaranteed 20-some homers. We don't know where the average is going to go with Giancarlo Stanton, Justin. But do you like him at all at pick 272 just to get your 20-some homers and then let the rest of the chips fall?
I mean, I kind of do and I kind of don't. I think it really depends on your format because, like, they've already said they're going to give him extra days off this year because they
Right.
wanted him to stay healthy. He was talking about his elbows and kind of the issues that go on with that. Like, I think in 10s and 12s, I'm definitely not. I think this is a 15 guy that you kind of, put in and set and forget and think you're going to get, while he's healthy, think you're going to get like 20 to 30 home runs.
Yep.
But that, like, if you have, like, I like him more in like daily moves lineups where I can get him in and out of my lineup fast if they're going to be resting him. I think it's just going to be so hard to manage, and
Always.
there's so much opportunity for him to get hurt. Like, I never like drafting these guys, so I probably stay away from him. You know where I do kind of like him is in like a best ball thing, right?
Absolutely great spot for Stanton. Yes.
Where like
yes,
he
yes.
goes off and hits 5 homers in a week, you've got him in your lineup, but you don't have to make that decision, right? You can let the computer determine when he had the best week and gets in your lineup. I really don't love him when I have to personally be making a decision because I always seem to pick wrong on guys like him.
And we don't always get the chance to either, right? Again, a lot of us play a lot of our portfolios at the NFBC, and that's not where everyone plays only, but they only do the midweek change, so you can't get every day in there. So a daily league is another spot where I would take Stanton, but you have to manage it, and that's a pain in the ass too. So I'm with you on best ball. That's a great shout for Stanton and any of these platoon guys. Even Kerry Carpenter is better in a best ball because you don't have to worry about it. You can just deal with not having to get him out of your lineup when he's not playing against a lefty to get somebody else in. The computer will do it for you. So that's a great shout there. Let's go to Matt Wallner, a guy that I'm in on this year. I've already got a couple shares. I saw him as a nice little power oasis for me. Pick 302 as his ADP. I saw him as a power oasis for me in the labor draft this week, earlier this week, where I was like, dang, I need some power right now. I think Wallner can deliver it. I'll take what he's done so far, but I think there could be something more there, Joe. Now, a couple years of doing this with Wallner, saying, hey, the breakout's coming, the breakout's coming. And it's been injuries each of these years, 76, 75, and 104 games. That is a bit of a problem right now. But 22 homers in the 104 games that we saw last year. What are we doing with Matt Wallner this year?
I can understand it. I think the price is okay. Like I'm seeing 320 over the last couple weeks of OCs, which is 12 teamers. It seems fine, but I just can't get myself so excited about him. He hit 202 last year. He did give you the 22 homers over 104 games. So, like, the power is unquestioned, no doubt about it. But the contact rates are horrendous: 75% zone contact, 66% contact overall, and a 17% swinging strike rate. It's pretty dark, and I think the lineup around him is also horrendous. Like, the Twins have torn it down; they've done an awful job, I think,
really
tearing it down. It's garbage around him. And I don't even know how much I trust him to stay on the field just based on what we've seen the last couple of years. So I'm more of a pass than an in on Wallner. But I do want to just throw in one thing that I saw while you guys were talking about Stanton. Did you see the quote that he said this morning?
No.
So he said, I can't open a bottle. I can't open up a bag of chips. That doesn't matter. I want to play a full season. So he can't open up a bag of chips.
What? So because of his elbows?
Yeah, because of his elbows. Yeah.
Because of his elbows. So
I don't even want him in the best ball, I don't think, then. What?
Yeah.
My goodness. I wish the best for him. I really, really like Giancarlo Stanton. I've liked him his whole career. I got his Marlins jersey. I root for him, but that is brutal. No, I can't do it. I can't do it then. Good. No, I'm totally out. All right. I'm glad you brought that up. Back to Wallner. Your points are very well made about Twins sucking and him just simply not staying healthy. It was a hammy last year and an oblique. It's been, I don't know what the other things were in the previous 2 years, but again, 75 and 76 games. Justin, what are we going to do with Matt Wallner here? Is this someone to still bet on with a post 300 ADP to try to get the upside? Or are you like Joe, where you're like, I'm just not seeing the vision on Matt Wallner?
He's going to play. Like, I think the fact that Twins sucked actually works to his benefit because he's going to play. As long as he's going to play and he's going to hit third in that lineup. And there's going to be power. I think everything I said about Kyle Stowers kind of applies to Wallner, but he's going after pick 300. Like he is not a good hitter. He's really not. But he's got a ton of power in the bat. The team around him does suck, but that probably means he's going to continue to play. He's also a really good defender. So like I think he's going to like I said, be in that lineup every single day, which you know,
That's something. That's something.
You know, you're gonna need to like work off that average, but like when we're talking about pick 360, like like that's everybody down there's got massive warts, right?
Yep. No, that's what I do like about it is that, you know, and again, that's not like an attack back on you, Joe. Like your points were valid. Like
they're totally right. But like
you gave the be careful points, but Justin and I are like, well, those
There's
are reasons to
upside.
be careful, but at least there's upside.
Outfielders going after Matt Wallner, right? Harrison Bader, who's just probably not really a good defensive or a good offensive player, just generally speaking. He can only really steal bases. He just went to a team that doesn't steal bases. Dylan Beavers, does he have a job? Cam Smith, does he have a job? Like Tommy Edman is broken. Carson Bench, does he have a job? Like Dominic Canzone, like okay, interesting platoon guy. Like I don't see that. Like all these guys have huge red flags. Yes, Wallner's is probably my least favorite because he can't hit. But when he does hit, he hits it hard. So like I don't have a problem with it. I'm probably not a guy I'm going to land on very often though.
That's fair. Yeah. And I'm like I said, I like him for the power. I think there's some upside there because of the playing time. He does need to stay healthy. And I do need to be careful of that average, which you did point out. All right, we're going to cap it here. We have Jesus Sanchez, Jorge Soler, and Tyler O'Neill left. Jesus Sanchez, excuse me. We already discussed when he got traded. And Soler and O'Neill we can talk about tomorrow just to kick off the show, Justin, as the last two power guys. They're pretty much the same as what we said here. They're cheap, fine. Actually, we'll talk a little bit more about O'Neill because we don't know if he's going to play. But we'll finish up outfield tomorrow because we got to get into pitchers starting next week. Joe, Justin, great talking with both of you. Justin, do you have an episode this week with Jason coming up?
I don't with Jason. I need to get a guest. So,
okay.
But I am hopefully going to be having somebody.
Excellent. Well, look out for that then on Sunday, folks. We'll be back tomorrow, and then the boys and I will be back next week as well together. I'll talk to y'all later.
Take it easy.
See you guys.